fun is this? Sheep hunting with backpacks. Yippee, yippee, yippee ki-yay. We'll go over some gear in a bit. I'm dry and comfortable, believe it or not, even though it looks like hell. I'm really comfortable right now. Alright. It didn't happen, we didn't get the sheep. And now it's a blizzard and we don't know where the sheep went. But we saw a 3-year-old ram, 2 ewes and a lamb. And, I don't know, I guess we got about 10 miles to go or something to get to some firewood. We're almost out of food and we don't have a map. We don't know where we are. Yeah. I got that camera attached to its own little holder in the gun rack on the front of the quad. It's a little jiggly. I don't know what I'm going to think of this setup, but I didn't bring the other tripod. I'm at home. Got a lot done today. And I didn't get my email back that I was anticipating so I could share what I want to share. But looking back on the original email, what this man has sent us in the previous, I'm pretty certain he sent it all to me in with the intention to share with all you. He just got out of hospital. He's been dealing with cancer, so I don't imagine he hits his email that too often. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to read some fresh ones here. Not fresh, he's been waiting for a while to be heard. And then I will possibly share what that significant information that I have. I'll share that within the next couple days coming up. All right. I'll figure out how to tactfully do it because I just don't think that we should share his identity. I don't think we should at this moment because he has a lot more that he wants to share with us and it's very significant shit. Okay, you guys, like it's for sure stuff that some people just don't want us to know. But we're going to know about it. So, on that note, let's see what we got. All right, I'm going to try to keep steady so that camera doesn't jiggle too much, give everybody a headache. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. We'll have to see what it looks like on the screen when I get back because, let's face it, there's something to be said about being able to set up the other camera and have a whole pile of the screen looking at the backdrop where I am, right? It's starting to rain here. I don't know if that thing's waterproof or not. I guess we're going to find out. This is titled It Healed Me. Hi, Steve, been following you for 4 years on YouTube. My story is of like none other. Last year, February 6, 2021, I had an encounter that totally changed my life. I'm a hoe processor operator for 33 years now. I suffered with arthritis in my shoulders, elbows, wrists, and knuckles for the last 8 years. It has been really bad. It all was about to change though. I was logging 1 hour south of Dawson Creek / Beaver Lodge, right on the BC-Alberta border. Been there. February 6th is key timing to this story, for it's my son's birthday. Let's back up to when I first got to the logging block on January 17th, 2021. I rode it with the crew in the company pickup truck. Every morning laying across the road were 6 to 8 20 to 25 foot poplar trees with stumps still attached and dirt on the roots still. Shit. The driver and the guy in the passenger seat would get out and use the chainsaw and cut them up and swing the trees into the ditch, clearing the roadway. This happened every morning for a week or so. I knew right away what was going on. My head was on a swivel at all times. I watched the guys in the headlights removing the trees, giggling to myself, this can't be happening. But it most certainly was. I asked the guys what was doing this, and there was no comments. The closest trees were 100 feet away. Typical clear-cut logging road. Holy shit, that's crazy. I would have loved to have seen a picture of that shit. On February 6th, I was done running processor. It was 4 p.m. Started driving out of the block. There's a swamp we drive through and always stopped on the swamp mats to get ready for the hour drive back to Beaver Lodge. My 6.7 liter deleted and chipped, deleted and chipped Cummins was running. I was standing on the swamp mats, just put my runners on and walked over to the passenger side of the truck for no reason but to pee. Okay, hold on a minute, you guys. I'm going to move this quad underneath that tree because I have a feeling the raindrops are going to be hitting that camera and making annoying sounds. All right, so just give me a minute. All right. That thing running? Yep. All right, here we go. As long as this thing doesn't flip out of park, we'll be all right. I'm on a total hill right now. I just started peeing and I heard you being looking for me. It was loud, crystal clear. Remember, I was standing by the passenger side headlight peeing off the mats. Instantly, I looked around. My Cummins was still in warm-up mode and the exhaust was whistling like they do when they are deleted. I looked left, I looked right, and behind me. Then heard again, I'm in front of you. I'm going to let you see me. I looked straight ahead and focused on a tree, 30 to 40 feet away at the 10-foot level of this 15-inch poplar was a fork, so I thought. But the fork started to move down, and I could see it was his arm, and he brought it down to his side, and boom, there he was. In my mind, what looked like a cluster of poplars was actually him. His arms were mimicking branches. Steve, he was massive. We locked eyes. In my mind, I said, your head is huge. Oh my God, look at your eyes. He smiled at me, Steve. It was at this moment I realized he was mind speaking to me. After the smile, he spoke to me and said, you aren't like them. And I replied, like who? And he said, you're kind. He was referring to my crew. I replied, what do you mean? You are a good one, he said. I was trying to process what he was getting at. He then said, staring straight into my soul, everything that has been bothering you for the last 10 years is going to be fixed soon. I asked, what do you mean? He said, you will see, he said. I asked, are you going to hurt me? And he smiled and nodded his head in a no manner. I was still standing there, Steve, peeing, totally vulnerable, talking to this beautiful hairy beast with a 16-inch head and brown eyeballs the size of grapefruit. It was then I felt this electrical impulse behind my ears on the bone of my skull at the jaw mandible. I said, what are you doing? It's okay, he said. The electrical pulse went up and down behind my ears for 10 or so seconds. I could literally feel the wavelength of this electrical charge. It was going up and down the bone behind the ears, and I was still peeing. And though the charge didn't hurt, it was like putting your tongue on a 9-volt battery sensation. He said, now off you go. You be back tomorrow. The electrical charge went to a peak and then it stopped, just like that. I noticed I was still standing there. I'd finished relieving myself. I looked where he was standing and he was gone. I raced down the front of my truck, jumped in, almost scampering and sliding on the mats. I didn't zip up my pants. I slammed that Cummins into gear and roared out of there in total disbelief of what had just happened. Through the whole encounter, Steve, I was not scared, and he was older. He had many lines and wrinkles in his face, this broad nose. I've seen many natives in Canada with the same face type. He was gentle, Steve. He had been watching me since I arrived in January 17. He knew I had incredible pain from arthritis. Oops, what the hell happened there? He knew I had incredible pain from arthritis. I got back to the apartment that night and slept like I'd never before. It wasn't until I woke up the next morning I realized what he had done to me. My arthritis was totally gone, and is still gone to this day. It's December 14th now, Steve, and I've been healed. This was my son's birthday, the day this gentle being healed me. 20 days later, my son, who I hadn't seen in 8 years, because I was a total idiot as a father, 10 years earlier, showed up on my doorstep while I was there, still there logging. I thought I'd lost my son forever, Steve, and here he was, live in person, with me at the apartment in Beaver Lodge. He now lives with his dad again. Him and I watch you every day. None of this can just be coincidence, Steve. Anyway, thanks for your channel, Steve. I hope everyone has the same kind of encounter as I did. God bless, and never stop telling the round table, logic must rule the day concerning the events in the world today. There's more, Steve, but I'll get back to this gentle being another time. Macaroni was great. I love the goats and want to say that was one hell of a shot with the arrow that went down the moose's throat. That's a 1 in a million, dude. Merry Christmas, Steve. Okay, man. Your name is Steve, too. Steve, that is incredible. And you know as well as I do, man, there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to shake their head and go, yeah, right, what are you doing? What are you on crack or something, right? The fact of the matter is, there's human beings who have healed people all over the frickin' planet today, right? Seen them on TV, right? I mean, we've seen people healing people. I don't know how many times, right? We've seen miraculous healings. People have full-blown cancer, gonna die, come out of that hospital fully healed. There's all sorts of examples of that have gone down in modern times. So I don't doubt your story for the slightest bit. And I definitely want to hear more, all right? So if you got more, make sure you send it, all right? And don't cut it short either. Just let her rip and share what you got. Okay, man? I'm absolutely interested in hearing, okay? I'm usually not too far away from there a couple times a year. Who knows? Maybe one day, if I do finally make sure I cut enough time away, I will do that loop that I want to do this whole province and meet people. Maybe we can even go there. Who knows, right? And share your story with me and bullshit with me, and we'll show the people our conversation and where this went down, possibly, right? It's just an idea. That's an incredible story, man. Appreciate you sharing that. All right. I'm totally sitting on an angle like this right now. You probably can't tell the camera, but... More encounters and info is the title of this one. Hi, I wrote you earlier and sent pictures. Sorry I hit send before checking anything by accident. Then sent pictures separately. I grew up in Warren, Pennsylvania. I learned to sabe in the early 70s from the Gimlin film, watched it with my family. It was about 4 or 5 years old. I was about 4 or 5 years old. So it was about 77 or 78. I got home from school and it was about 3 p.m. This would have made me 9 or 10 years old. My father asked me if I would like to go out hunting for the last hour to hour and a half. Of course I did. It was no more than 10 minutes and we were in the backyard hunting. Our house was, as soon as we walked out to the back door, we were hunting. We walked 3/4 of a mile and sat on the edge of a ridge, which fingers out to a meadow. With an hour of light left, we picked up a tree and cleared the leaf from its base. I know that it had been a little while because I started to get a bit bored and was moving. My dad said, "You have to stop moving and just move your eyes and head slowly." Now, even though I had been moving, it was silent because of the no leaves under our feet. It was only a minute and we heard what we thought was a deer. It was loud, but we couldn't see anything moving. I said to my dad, "Where are they?" It was then we heard loud sniffing. It scared me and I moved. Then the low growling started. It was on my side of the tree. My dad moved faster than I ever saw him move. Somehow, I ended up where he had been standing. He was standing on the edge of our moved leaves on the ground. He did not shoulder his gun, but he was in the ready position to go off on anything. And he started yelling, "You just keep moving, keep going." We never saw anything, but it should have been there. He said nothing on our way home, just moved as fast as we could. As we broke the backyard, he said, "Don't tell anyone." A few years later, when I turned 12 and started carrying the gun, I did ask him about it, and he said when he was younger, it was the first day of the season and he had not gotten to sight in his rifle. So the guy who he was with said, "Take a shot at that stump and we'll see how close it is." He agreed as he pulled up to shoot. He said that that stump stood up and walked away. Oops. Oh, got people coming with guns. I'm just making videos.
I've been down here a lot.
Yeah, I haven't been down for a while either. Water's down quite a bit.
Yes.
What do you guys got?
Just a pellet gun.
Oh, it's a pellet gun.
22.
New one?
Older.
I bought one at Cabela's a little while ago. I haven't had a pellet gun for years. I asked him for a high power one. gives me this thing. It sounds like a 22 when it goes up, and it shoots 1,600 feet per second.
You need a PAL for those ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to fill it out.
No, this is just $4.95.
Yeah.
Don't need a PAL for it, but it's still strong enough to get small game.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually got a grouse with it the other year, right?
Cool.
Just gotta have shot placement.
Yeah. You guys ever hear any Sasquatch stories?
Usually.
Hey?
Usually.
Oh, do you?
Just random little ones.
You seen any?
No.
I seen them.
I hear the stories and noises that people.
Yeah. You might want to. I got a YouTube channel. I've been guiding for big game up north for like 20 years. And I ran into my first one when I was 18 near Port Renfrew.
Oh, Port Renfrew, nice.
Yeah. And then I was starting to share the story. People on YouTube are bugging me, asking me if I've ever seen them. And then I finally admitted online I did. And people have been sending me emails from all over the world. I got like 15,000 emails. Crazy, eh?
I know I always tie in there's a certain dance in my culture that we do. Translates roughly to the wild man dance.
Yeah.
But there's a noise we make when we're doing the dance. I scared my mom one time because I made that noise in the middle of the woods.
Oh, she heard it before.
She must have heard it before. She asked if that was me. I said, yeah. She said, stop it.
I hear there's a lot of sightings just on the stamp.
Oh, I heard tons of stories around here. I heard McCoy Lake Road.
Yeah, same, yeah.
I heard a mother and a baby were in McCoy Lake Road area for a long time.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah, my neighbor, he owns that McCoy Lake gravel pit or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Tim. Anyway, him and his family walk along there. They got scared from something there too. Took off. And then Nemint Lake's got a bunch of sightings out there too.
Yeah. There used to be you hear it all the way along people going to Tofino or people going to, actually you hear it regular with people who go to Nitnat.
Nitnat, yeah, Nitnat. Lots on the highway, but past here to Tofino.
Yep.
You kill it. Kennedy Lake.
You hear more, I hear a lot from different people, like, because they got family down there, right? Saw one tonight. That's it. That's all they'll see.
Yeah, so bizarre, eh?
It just comes so normal for some of them, but that's all they'll post. Saw one tonight.
I know, and it's funny how many people think it's a joke. I mean, I don't crave it myself. I mean, it's nothing. It's a little bit on your nerves when it happens.
Well, been out far enough. I've heard of people out hunting. They're good trackers. They'll get their deer. They know they got a good hit, right? The proper blood. They said they'll get to a point and they'll start to get an eerie feeling like they're being watched, and the blood trail's gone.
Oh, they take the deer.
They took the deer.
Yeah. Yeah, I know people who've had their elk and moose taken out of their camps and stuff. Huh. I was kind of wondering. I wonder if there's any elders around here that might who have any knowledge to share about it.
Be a thing to post on AV Chatterbox if you're on that.
Yeah. I could probably try that. I just live up the road here. I bought that log house around the corner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I keep on, so every once in a while I come down, I'll read like 5 or 6 emails of people writing in about their experience, how they've seen them, and then I put it on the YouTube channel.
Well, I hear stories of it, and I hear stories of people who come down here and get old elder stories. There was one where a guy invited his buddy over, and he says, "Don't freak out." I said, "What? Just don't freak out. Just trust me. Whatever happens, don't freak out." They're sitting by the fire. Next thing you know, this thing comes out of the woods and just warms his hands by the fire, and then walks away.
No way.
It took the guy a few minutes before he calmed down and realized what just happened. It comes most nights.
No
Just
way.
warms his hands for a second and he leaves. I don't bother him. He don't bother me.
Around here?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
No kidding, eh? Crazy. Yeah, I just say out loud sometimes, and I'm home by myself. I just say out loud, just leave me alone. I know you're here. You know I'm here. Just leave me alone. Don't scare me. Seems to work so far. Yeah. So you guys gonna shoot down here?
Oh, we can go down there. It's a big park, it's just a straight shot.
Yeah.
I was actually coming right by here because most people leave cans around here.
Yeah.
You take a couple cans, shoot them, and then bring them.
Oh yeah.
It looks like somebody actually cleaned up today.
Yeah. There sure is a pile of bears down here in the spring, eh?
Oh, there's a ton. This is a good fishing hole for them.
Yeah, I put when we first got here, I put trail cameras all around the edge, and I left them there for like a month. There's so many bears, I couldn't believe it.
Bears and eagles.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe it. The owls were catching crayfish at nighttime and eating them in front of the camera on that bank.
Nice.
Yeah, who would ever thought that, eh?
Never thought they'd catch crayfish.
Yeah, he's one after the other. Crazy, eh?
See him catching all the mice and stuff, but not crayfish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool to see.
I see a ton of bears down here. Actually, it's a great place to tube from.
There's the big ones. There's a couple of real big ones here. Yeah. I got lots of moose and elk in the freezer.
Got to keep it on the side.
Yeah. Well,
this is real quiet anyway.
I'm not worried about it.
You won't hear it. Wait for your video.
Okay, thanks, man. How cool was that? So that is a First Nations man, and his son looks to be about 12 or 13. And he's got a crossbow, and they got a pellet gun for the boy, and they're down here to shoot. And I hope to God that microphone picked up what he was telling me. And did you hear me just said some of the elders said right down here, around here, or nearby here, he would be having a fire, and told his friend, he said, don't freak out. No matter what happens, don't freak out. And they're at the fire, and he said this Sasquatch all of a sudden comes out of the timber, squats by the fire, warms his hands, and carries on. And he said, did you hear what he said? I hope you did hear. I hope this microphone picked that up. But he said that it just warmed his hands and carried on. And he said, he doesn't bother me, I don't bother him, and he's been doing this for a long time. Crazy. Right off the bat. And he didn't even look at me strangely, oddly at all when I cracked open the Sasquatch topic. Cool. Hopefully that made it into the video, and I will share that as well. And hopefully I can run into those people again sometime and pick his brain a little more. Maybe make new friends. Because I want to talk to the indigenous people about this as much as I can. All right. Start again. Carry on where I was. That was a good little interruption, actually. A few years later, when I turned 12, started carrying my gun. I did ask him about, okay, read that. He agreed as he pulled up to shoot. He said that the stump stood up and walked away, and that's all he said about it. Like I said, we lived where, out in the front or back door within 2 minutes, you were in the woods. I hunted for 6 years, having areas that I knew I was being watched, but we needed to put deer in the freezer. Next was 1987. I was on my way to a camping spot very near the Allegheny National Forest. I had worked and had to meet my friends in the woods. I was walking when I noticed movement to my left and up at the top of an old logging road bank. It was standing behind a tree that forked about 5 feet off the ground. I was seeing movement from something swaying. I believe that was the first time I set eyes on them, but it was still not what I would call it a slam dunk in the way of sightings. Sorry, Steve, I said I am disabled and I have a hard time sitting this long. I'll keep going. I will keep going. There is much more to come. This only got us to 17 years old. Thanks, Steve. Matt, I will keep sending. And I'll keep sharing, Matt. You keep going out of your way to share with me to the people. I'll keep sharing it, all right, man? Thanks for that email. Man, my brain's just reeling after having that conversation with that man. McCoy Lake Road. He said there was a female and a young one there for a long time, and that is where my neighbor owns a gravel pit there, and his employee saw one of these beings run across the Banfield Road, and him and his family were walking on that road and had the daylight scared out of them by one. That was the first conversation I ever had with my new neighbor. See how common it is when you start talking to people and look them in the eye and don't laugh? All right. Another attempt to share. It's the title of this one. Hello, Steve. First, I'd like to say I very much appreciate what you're doing and hope it not only succeeds in making this topic acceptable, mainstream science, and open up discussions on all things cryptid. I believe they are all tied together on various levels. I'll get into it. My name is fine to use, Corey Merrill. Location is Ready, guys? Northern Adirondack Mountains and Champlain Valley, New York. As a youngster, my close family, mother, father, and my father's sister's family, went for a walk down a dirt road, probably looking for a fishing spot or good picnic area. I don't remember. As we all went down this dirt road, I noticed something in the dirt. It was like a hand with brown fur and claws, but the finger bones were showing, and my cousin and I wondered what it could be. Everyone else kept walking. They got about 50 yards away and all turned around and sprinted back to the cars. My parents grabbed my cousin and myself on the way by. They all looked scared as hell, but never said more than, "Your uncle saw a snake." I never did get an answer for what happened, but I suspect the grading machine kicked up part of a shallow grave made when the land softened. As the adults and older cousins walked, they were scared off by Sabe, who didn't like us packing their dead loved one's hand with sticks. Understandably. A few years later, and 45 miles away in the mountains, our camp shack was opened like a dollhouse. The entire front wall was pulled off the frame and foundation and was lifted up like it was on a hinge. It was not on a hinge. It was constructed with nails and screws. It was pushed well beyond the eaves. Then dropped. The window area was then pushed out to make a walkway. My dad said he thinks it was a bear. We only have smaller black bear here. A very large one for the area is 250 to 300 pounds. A bear that size did not open our camp building like it was a toy, lifting the wall out and up beyond the 10 feet to our eaves. Another 8 to 10 years later, I was living out there alone for 3 months. It seemed like I was always being surrounded when I do night chores, like making sure I had drinking water. And they moved with me, but kept to the shadows, just at the edge of my light's effective ranges, which I had pointed in all directions. Once in a while, it looked like something stirred up commotion randomly on that perimeter. I felt like I was being hunted the entire time. Thanks to information I learned here on your channel, I've come to realize that I was surrounded by and that they were probably keeping something else away from me. I realized they were not hunting me as I first thought when I learned what it was. At the time, every night it sounded like several hundred wild dogs were in the area with constant howling, yipping, and barking, etc. It often sounded slightly wrong, almost like people were making the sounds, but doing so extremely well. I did see leaves and small shrubs start shaking like something brushed up against them hurriedly. It would stop and happen in another spot in the perimeter line and repeat around the whole ellipse. I suspect they just didn't want a human to go missing in that area because it is nice with plenty of everything to live on. Plus, it has a very small number of people who go in the woods. So they want to avoid search parties, I would imagine. This was every time I went out at night and had to go to the main trail. I do not recall much else beyond feeling like I was being hunted and wondering what the hell was going on just out of my view. I do know that one evening I was taking firewood from the stack behind the shack and I heard a moose snort. I didn't see it and I didn't feel like I was in direct danger. But then I heard a loud crack of a tree being snapped, or log maybe, and all of a sudden grisly sounds of that moose being beaten to death with a tree. And all of a sudden, grisly sounds of that moose being beaten to death with the tree. It screamed, it gurgled, and lots of wet packing sounds. I never went back to that area of that swamp again. I decided I needed my old dangerous game rifle, so I temporarily retired my 5.56 and grabbed my 375 H&H mag. From then on, I felt hunted in my camp yard one night a few weeks later and took a quick shot at a huge dead tree just inside the wood line, and after that point, I didn't feel that threat again. I did have a few tools vanish while I was getting a drink. They reappeared in a tree stand a few miles away. Nobody had been around in 2 months, so I know it was not people. I know it wasn't the gray jays that followed me everywhere. They could not fly with a hammer. This is only a few of the things I've dealt with and encountered. I also think the answer for why Sabe seemed to lose power near running water is from the concentrated heavy minerals and element that collects in running water. Piezoelectric current, which is electricity created by pressurizing minerals like quartz, probably has something to do with it. Also, large piezoelectricity discharges into the atmosphere interacting with anomalous magnetic field behavior called a power vortex. It is probably how portals open to other places or times. This is a possible interaction with the electromagnetic spectrum. Light, visible and non-visible, microwaves, radio waves, etc. are all part of that. In the light ranges due to light's constant interaction with the quantum realm. I leave it here, as it's already too long, but this just scratches the surface of what I've dealt with. Keeping the knowledge flowing, Steve. You have a good thing happening in a world of bad and stupid. Corey, thanks for that email. Appreciate it. I'm feeling that I'm reading kind of awkward because I know I've got two people right there in the forest off to my side, and they're about to be shooting their pellet gun and stuff. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because I can just feel, you can just feel there's somebody there as well, and it makes my attention go over there from not all of my attention is on reading. It's kind of awkward for me. So I'll try one more, and then I'm gonna get moving. All right, you guys. All right, what's this one? Okay, this one's titled Hard to Tell. All right. Sometimes it's not easy for anybody, right? To start, I'm a weird one. I know shit I should not know, and yes, they are here. I've known that all my life, though I've only seen one, and that for only about 7 seconds. 8 feet tall, red-brown hair, crossed a 14-foot road in 2 steps. I know the feeling being watched, felt that since I was a child. I've had many experiences with them and others. Yes, when you're marked by them, there's no way out. They will be there for all of your life. You can move, country, city, don't matter where, they will be there. Not all are mean. Not all are mean harm, though. Some do. I've survived hellhounds controlled by them. I've felt the pressure as I've been in the woods, seen their drop trees across the only road out, just because they could. I don't think they pick at random. They know who they mark because they know whom has something of the past in them. I know I can project my presence like they do, not with the control they do, but something close. I'm working on that. It's in us. It's in all of us. If you feel you can see it as the ones who know do it, that's the evil in the world you feel now. They're projecting it to us all right now to cause fear so they can rule. I've got many things to share, but know that many are not ready to hear. You're going in the right direction, but such knowledge takes time for all to accept. Yes, we are one people, but as you know, people are scared. A person can be smart, a group can be not. Keep going. This is the right path. If you want a name for this, call me Davy DDP. Stay the path, friend. All right, man. Well, I'm staying the path. I don't think I have any other choice. But if you want to send more, we're all ears, all right? Okay, I'm going to go. Oh, this looks like a long one. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do this one more, then I'm going to go. I'm kind of excited to know if I got that conversation on the camera or not. First sighting, many encounters, rarely clearly seen. Steve, thank you. The first encounter with these things I've never told anyone. By writing to you, I was able to send the story to a couple of family, and I feel better, even if State Funny Farm, non-voluntary mental institution, here I come. 57 now, I have night terrors. Not so much about what I've done and seen because my country asked, but for what I ignored. Even with the problems above, one moment in my life still causes just a good old-fashioned nightmare every couple of months. It happened when I was 23, the moment in life when I was introduced to true fear. Fear that has such presence that is like a separate entity that has weight and presence and force in the world. After arriving the day before, late Sunday, I left Southwest Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, for extreme Southwest Missouri family farm. at 5.5 hours between stretch wide swaths of Mark Twain National Forest. As I drove, I planned out a place to take a short nap. At a place where I had to take a right where two main roads met right before the charcoal plant, I decided to stop here. Number one, for about a quarter mile before the roads meet, there was a full-size paved emergency lane on both sides. Two, because the intersection, the trees and brush were cleared about 20-25 meters, 60 to 75 feet from the road so traffic could see each other. Three, it was only a couple hours away from the main house on the farm, so even if I slept till dawn, I would still make work on time. I pulled onto the emergency lane, I stopped, reclined the car seat, and crashed. It was a beauty of a night, so I had the moon roof partially open where the rear edge of it has about 1.5 inches gap between it and the roof of the car. Windows down about 2 inches, catching a good breeze, and late enough in the fall that bugs were no issue. Car facing east, I figured I would nap until sunrise. Fell asleep to almost a harvest moon. 30 minutes later, I awoke. It was almost like sleep paralysis, except my mind was bouncing off my skull in complete terror, and my body was so full of fear I was incapable of functioning because of my body trembling. The charcoal plant must have been doing something because the air was foul with a burning sulfur on dead, rotting, maggot-infested animal corpse smell. I had to get away from the place, but I could not overcome my fear. I regressed to the first thing I memorized, the opening line of the Lord's Prayer, which I recited in my mind. This ordered my mind enough to move my eyes. No one was on the road to my left and to my right. The damn charcoal plant must have been putting out so much smoke. Part of the windshield, most of the passenger window was just black, and with many almost curly smoke tendrils feathering out from the edges. Car was an 86 Ford Thunderbird. The car was running. I do not remember starting it. I glanced to my left, no traffic. I could not force myself to glance to my right. I told myself it was because I knew I would just see smoke anyway. I took my right turn with tires squealing. I heard a loud pop and was immediately in bright moonlight. A little confused, I looked over my right shoulder to see how big of a cloud the charcoal plant had made. Standing by my tire marks was the widest shouldered and tallest bear I had ever. I was about 15 meters from my turn and moving rapidly away, and the delusions my mind had been forcing on me so I could minimally function cleared. It was huge. Shoulders were as wide as the distance from the top of its thigh to the bottom of its flat, no pronounced muzzle face. The skull had a minor cone shape to the top, and the neck was very short and flared out onto his shoulders, giving almost the same look as someone wearing a cape, a poncho, with the hood over their head. It was thickly covered with hair everywhere except face that I could see. The hair hanging from its arms was in a separate matted and snarled hanging cornrow-like things. It was wide enough to totally block sight from the part of the windshield, most of the passenger window, and tall enough to lean over the car and block out the moonroof, the glass of which was no longer there. Then, when partially open, the moonroof was held in place only by two pins using the same spring-loaded 37mm yoke flimsy design. That was the pop I heard when leaving. I think the entity just instinctively grabbed it as the car started moving, and it was very self-aware, and it hungered and dripped hate from its whole being. I felt it had been carrying out a plan that did not have my continuing existence as part of it. There is not a lot of doubt in me that if my mind had not recognized that I was ill-prepared to face one of these entities or consciously break the paralytic hold, very low-frequency sound that the entity was using, just my belief, now supported by actions and results of several skirmishes and meeting engagements with these entities over the years, therefore my mind told lies so it could get some minimal function out of my body, or I would have been on one of those missing in the woods people. The only thing that would ever be found, my car with nothing wrong with it, plenty of gas and keys in the ignition, and my shoes with one sock neatly rolled inside each one, lined up exactly with the heel on the outer edge of the white strip. shoes pointing into the woods. P.S. The charcoal plant was closed and completely shut down, something I had to have noticed driving to Springfield just the day before. Luke Hatton. Tsuquolade. Bird. Sorry. Tsaquolade equals bluebird, not personal name. Content of story, chocolate. Drop the T sound and add the word day. Choco. La day. All right. The end of it's a little confusing for me, but I can't focus right now. Kind of expecting those guys to come back from the timber right there or not. I don't know. Are the pelts start shooting? But anyways, I gotta go. That's everybody's worst nightmare, and that's happened zillions of times. Being parked and something standing there at the edge of the car or the truck looking in. Or how about some of those people in Alaska, those couples that are parked in a parking lot and looked in their brake lights and seen something belly crawling up behind the car. Not good. I gotta get home. I can't concentrate for some weird reason. It's getting late anyway. And maybe, hopefully, next time I'm on here, I will share the substantial information that was emailed to me recently. I'm quite certain it was meant for all of us, so I'll get to it. Okay, I'm out of here, you guys. Hopefully this camera worked out.